Dearly beloved, thank you for joining us. I'm here with Emma Goldie, who is here to tell us about her fantabulous transformational experience whilst working with yours truly, obviously, because that's what people do when they get on these things. So, Emma, hello.
Hi.
Right, thank you for being here. Tell me, or remind me, and tell the peeps what you were experiencing before we started working together.
I'm really excited to be here, by the way. So thank you for the invitation.
Anytime.
I was overcoming probably a build up of like 18 months of quite severe burnout that had impacted me in quite severe ways in different sort of autoimmune type conditions. And it started affecting some of my joints pretty badly, as well as other systems in my body. And I was probably not in a very good state when we first met, I would say. Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
And so I know, so you have a very interesting background in bodywork and are very in tune with your own inner goings on. And so I certainly wasn't your first rodeo. You'd had loads, you had other support and you tried other things in the past. So what made you think that your journey with me was one, going to be worth it, two, that I was somebody trustworthy, and what led you to work with me in the end?
To
Why
be
me?
honest, I just wanted to have a laugh, Jodie. You're such a laugh. I thought, well, this is going to be fun, even if nothing comes out of it. No, seriously. I obviously I became acquainted with you and I could see the types of what you're doing. I've had a background in kinesiology. My ex-husband was a kind of muscular bodywork person with some really great techniques to help reform this kind of infrastructure of the body. So I've got that language and that mindset around understanding that one thing connects to another. With the kinesiology I did a long time ago, and I've got a very specific way of using that with my work now that's more around the emotional body. But I know it's figuring out how things fit together and how the knock-on effects happen.
Yeah.
It's actually really exciting for me. It's like being a kind of kid in a candy store, and it's like a treasure box. So the way that you showed up with your language and sort of very clear, um decisive, and sort of embodying that full knowing, like first of all that you could help me, secondly that you could just go, okay, well, you don't need anyone else, just get rid of them all. And I'm like, what you're like, no, I can do that, I can do that. So it was like a real like positive experience, feeling really safe. Like I didn't quite fully trust that at the beginning, and funnily enough, like there was like 4 people I was working with and 2 of them have kind of fallen away. Another's a homeopath, another was doing sort of something a little bit different to you. But the fact that you kind of said that with so much conviction, I was like, oh my god, is she for real? But that was a bit scary for me because
Yeah.
I'm sort of quite holistic in my mindset anyway. So the thought for me of having like 2 or 3 or 4 people I can rely on is where I feel comfortable, especially when things have kind of got to such a bad point, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I think that trust in your word, and you've obviously had a lot of experience, and yeah, I didn't like sense any bullshit or anything around what you were saying, but you were really full of conviction and also full of fun. So I thought, well, actually, this is a really nice balance. I felt comfortable there.
Okay. Okay. Good. All right. And how did I help you solve your issues? This is a biggie. So, in other words, how did I help you do it?
I don't know. You did it pretty easily, I think. No, you did it just like that,
Yeah.
Jodie. No, well, to be honest, the assessments of my body that you carried out made it really obvious that you knew what you were doing, and the fact that certain areas in my body related to totally certain different areas, like we would be online, you would go, right, just go to this muscle here and just do that 3 times, and then we'll see if that thing that doesn't work suddenly starts to work again. And it was literally as simple as that. I think we went inside my mouth to release something, and all of a sudden my shoulder, which I literally couldn't move more than about like 20 degrees up, I could move to like up there. Like now I can go all the way up. And this was 3 months ago.
Yeah, I think so. I'm losing track of time, but I think so, something like that.
4 months ago, but I literally could not. It was so painful to lift. I mean, I couldn't carry things. I couldn't do my proper yoga practice, which I love. And it got really, really deep in a really deep pain. And yeah, I mean, it still like hurts right at the top just a tiny bit, but the fact that I can lift it up is like amazing. And like you did that through working inside my mouth, or through me sort of moving a muscle in my mouth. And I was so like amazed. I was like going around to everyone in my house going, look at this is how far I can move it, and when I do that I can go all the way up there. It was just so fun. It's like, it was so cool. And then like as a resultant thing, you know, there's other parts like on the outside of my knees that we press, and then there's another thing that we do that means that I can rotate my whole body all the way around, which I couldn't before. So it's as a question, I don't, in a way I probably have a bigger understanding than most people as to why what you've done works, but I still don't fully know, because obviously I don't know the intricacies of how all the things are connected. So in one way, I don't know how you've done it, but in another way, I probably do more than most people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. And I think that's what makes it an interesting case study, really. So apart from the stuff that you keep rushing around and telling your family about, what are the results that you're most thrilled with?
I think the fact that I have been able to do the corrections myself, and it makes me feel really empowered. And I think that's obviously the piece where I was able to let go of a few other practitioners who I was working with. And I mean, it wasn't like, oh, I don't need you anymore, kind of things worked out that way anyway. They had some other stuff going on, so it was sort of a natural progression. But the fact that I felt empowered enough to you know, release some of the people who I'd been really dependent on.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of gives you a bit more freedom and autonomy, doesn't it, really?
Well, yeah, and knowing that I can sort of try a few different things, like if something like, you know, isn't working as well as it should do. And I mean, it's still a journey. My sort of energy levels are a lot higher. I've been able to listen to my body a bit more, and I think a couple of the correctives that we did, I was literally out for the count for like 2 days. But it's also really, really hard for me to rest. That's obviously how I got in this mess in the first place, because I'm really driven, and I love, you know, being busy and thriving in my work and all the things.
Exactly.
Running around looking after everyone except myself. So the fact that I was actually flawed was really, really good. And it sort of helped me to reset my relationship with resting a bit more as well. Because yeah, it's not my best friend, although it is in a kind of paradoxical kind of way, you know, resting. So sort of some of the videos that you've sent through have been really, really amazing as well. There's like one for 9 minutes, I think one for 11 minutes, another one for 20 minutes. So I can rotate those. And one of them's hilarious because your dog's like dancing around in the background and like whizzing the cushion round.
Yes.
It was quite entertaining like exercise video, to say the least.
Good. Yeah, so I mean, it really sounds like there's been some, like, you know, some breakthroughs, but in a way that's been kind of manageable, not overwhelming, that's kept things joyous really and uplifting, which is really important for me, because I think the overriding the dog is here making noises. I'm trying to give this interview. The overriding thing I like my clients to feel is that there's hope, you know, that all is not lost. There is a way to, you know, bounce back from pretty much anything, with the right expertise. I think One thing that's probably on a lot of people's minds as they're watching this, though, is I'm in Switzerland, you're in the UK. What's this been like as a virtual experience? You know, why not go to someone who's in person? Why choose someone virtually, and how
It's
did it work?
actually, yeah, it's for me, it's actually been really empowering because I've been able to do those things myself. Because like when you're in the hands of the body work, I mean, I've worked with body work myself for many years. I did, different techniques, and I've always, visited chiropractors or osteopaths or more holistic people these days. But it's there's something really nice about being in the hands of someone who just knows what they're doing, and your body can melt, which is really nice experience. And I would love to come and see you in person for sure. But there's been like a different level of empowerment with me being able to actually experience, wow, if I do this, then that happens, or if I do that too much, then this happens. And it's like we each have our own natural gauges, and I'm sensitive anyway, so I can be sort of quite tuned into that quite quickly. But I think for people to take ownership of their body is like, and for me to be able to do that when you are in Switzerland and I'm over here. Interesting enough, I travel to Switzerland a lot normally, but obviously not these days, but I definitely would have come to see you. But it's just a real gift. And actually in some ways I think it's worked better, and what because I have been able to take that responsibility rather than just melt in somebody's arms and go, oh, you deal with it, and then walk off and not have that consciousness or awareness about actually what I'm doing in my everyday that's making the difference, or taking ownership of those corrective small adjustments of exercises that you give to do a couple times a week or once a day or a couple times a day. And they're really small things. It's not like I've got to go and take half an hour out, although there is that luxury to be able to do that 2 or 3 times a week. But it's I think I haven't obviously I haven't experienced you in person. I'm sure it'd be amazing, but my health and kind of wellness journey definitely has not been like let down due to the fact that it's online, and actually in a way I think it's probably helped me to just like get more of a handle around taking that responsibility and ownership.
Yeah, I think it'll probably play into longer lasting results as well, because you really have learned how to self-tend and self-care in a really precise way that is, oh, shut up. That is custom made, for you and your body at this stage. So how do you see the future?
Well, I've always been into bodywork a lot. So I'm really excited to get into more of the kind of strengthening and toning and but with a kind of healthy, holistic mindset. I had a bit of an eating disorder in my teens, which, then went into kind of intense raw foodism and intense periods of like either high protein or vegetarianism and like crazy, like, roundabouts like you do.
Yeah.
So I feel excited to kind of deepen my health journey in terms of like eating and refining the body work to be a lot more specific and targeted to, more about how I want to look and how I want to feel, like energetically and vibrantly, alongside doing, more of my exercise and being connected to the body in a really kind of grounded way. So I do, as you know, I do sort of spiritual mentorship, and I've done a lot of yoga and teaching and meditation and stuff. So I'm really interested to have your lens really and combine it with what I know, and but do it in a way that's totally unique for me.
Great. Sounds really good.
Yeah, I'm well
very
excited.
good.
And of course you're just a real laugh to work with, Jodie, and it's really nice and refreshing. There's some like really tender things that we've been through over the time, and really tender moments that I've had, and you've always been really respectful and open and like able to carry that in like a light-hearted way, but that doesn't put it down. Do you know what I mean? So it's you've just got this really nice like window of fun and joy and upliftment, making space for what is, but without kind of, you know, us needing to go down that rabbit hole. Do you know what I mean? So like bringing the frequency up within the body and within the mood. And it's really easy to get stuck in the mindset with like when there's pain and when the body's not feeling or doing, you know, what you want it to do. I'm also just like premenopause as well, so that's, I think, been quite a lot of these like immune changes and stuff, which now obviously I've got a handle on, which is amazing. But that's something I also want to say is you knowing so much about that part and those phases and stages of development in different ages. It's really, I know that's been really underpinning the work that we've done and some of those changes which I've experienced, and like me being able to be okay with that and that just being part of it without it like sucking me like into a black hole. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course I do, because you know I'm in nearing and skirting the same black hole. So yeah, absolutely. I think that's part of it as well. It's being able to, you know, be that guide without being intrusive and without making it dark and gloomy. You know, it doesn't have to be. It's not always rainbows and fucking popcorn, but it doesn't have to be like doom and gloom. So I'm really glad that came across.
Yeah, and also it's like when that shift in energy suddenly uprises, or there's a joint that's freed up, or you know, an organ or a tension that's kind of released, that is like gold, because to have that weight off of your mind, like I had a really bad problem in my jaw, my head, and so much pain in this shoulder and other areas of the body, and then it's like suddenly when we were releasing things, like things came up from my childhood that like impacted me pretty negatively, and I could feel like literally physically, you know, different parts of the body releasing and opening and having memories. And it didn't have to be this really like deep obsessive experience. It was just like, wow, that's really interesting. Yeah, that's why I had so much tension in my hip, or you know, that's why my feet are flat, or, you know what I mean? Because it was like there was a whole almost like life unraveling in the way that my body was opening up, and it was releasing memories and like inspirations from when I was young, and like, and it was just, yeah, I'm quite a kind of deep transformative person, so that for me was like the icing on the cake, you know. I know that sometimes you were like getting really random voice messages from me going, oh, I found that when I do this and that happens, oh shit, I've just remembered that. And so it's like there's a transformation element which isn't like enforced, but for me and my work, it's just a natural outflow of what's been locked in the body for so long, you know. So I actually feel like I've unraveled a lot of things that happened in my life that were really highly traumatic at, you know, different stages. And being able to feel that freeing up, and you know, freeing up with the pelvis and the walk. And I remember one time you sent me a voice note going, we do not want you to walk like an Edwardian nanny, your Victorian nanny. You've got to walk like a South American Nazi, something like that. I can't remember the exact words.
Totally.
Suddenly, like my hips are like moving like they never did before, because I was like tight and held and tucked in, and you know, I'm a yoga teacher who's been doing a lot of this work for a long time. So it's not like I haven't got the conscious awareness or haven't been doing the work. It's just the way that you manage to release it suddenly has freed up my whole. It's like I feel like I've got a new body. And it's like, oh, I'm walking a bit different, that's a bit weird. And like my partner noticed, like, oh, you're walking, you know, hi. It's kind of it's like,
yes,
like, yeah. So yeah, it's just nice, you know, these little small things which in the bigger scheme don't seem a lot, but they're like massive, and it's probably difficult to capture those in the results of people, because I'm a bit more conscious and aware. I don't know if I'm noticing it more than other people, but there's so much intertwined and unweaving like within those like really simple releases, which they look simple when you give them, but I know that they're the way that you look at the body. You say, do this, do that. You'll ask me to do 10 different things, and then you'll say, right, okay, this is connected to that, we've got to release this, do this 3 times, do that afterwards. But you know, that's been a really sort of intricate, detailed like study and consideration by you with all your knowledge. So from the outside, it might look really like simple. Oh yeah, she just told me to do one thing, but actually I know because of my work and with the body work that those correctors are really technical and like an engineered part of the body, which is really, really highly skilled. And I think because you do it so effortlessly, maybe even you don't value it as much as or you don't shout about it as much as you should, but I'm shouting about it because it's unbelievable, absolutely amazing. I feel really, really honored that you took me on, and that to have experienced sort of that level of expertise and that level of finesse and fine detail within this physical system, which I know very well is a really complex thing to unravel. So hats off to you, and I'm super excited to see like lots more results from amazing people. And and if you're considering working with Jodie, like absolutely 5,000% dive in and be open and give it a little bit of time to sort of work its magic. But actually I was feeling results even after the first session, so stick with it for sure.
Couldn't have said it better myself. I think on that, damning indictment, we can sign off. But thank you very much.
Oh, thanks, Jodie. Really appreciate you. You're amazing.
Thanks.